7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. Our unique team helps small businesses grow by providing essential marketing expertise.
Hello, and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. My name is W.Parmentier of W.Parmentier Photography.
I'm Justin Kerr of Justin Kerr Design.
And I'm Alicia with Custom Marketing Solutions.
And together we make up the
Marketing Essentials team. That gets smoother every time.
It does.
Yeah.
Like a fine wine, right?
Rolls off the tongue.
Okay.
Go from there, Justin.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So today we're going to be talking about logos and branding. And the question of the day is, how much should I pay for a logo?
Well, how much should you?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of the answer I'm going to give is kind of broad. So you can pay as little as $0
Sweet.
for a logo. If you want to use your cousin Eddie, who's got a copy of Microsoft Paint.
What? You can't make a logo in Microsoft Paint?
You can. You can also cut your lawn with a pair of scissors, but just,
Does
See where you're
Microsoft still
going
offer
here.
Microsoft Paint?
What's that?
Does Microsoft still offer Microsoft Paint?
Oh, yeah, it's still available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you can pay as little as $0, or you can pay as much as $100,000
Whoa.
for a complete branding package from a high-profile agency out of New York City. So I think instead of asking the question, how much should I spend, which I think is, anytime you're talking about your marketing strategy, I think it's bad to lead with, how much should I spend? Now, I think everybody should have a budget, for their marketing based on what they can afford. But when you lead with, well, I want to get this as cheaply as possible, I think you get started on the wrong foot because
Sure.
you're not thinking about making an investment in your company, in your small business.
Yeah, because, correct me if I'm wrong, that logo is going to go on pretty much everything.
Yeah, if you are doing it in a way that it's going to scale with your business, because the logo is just one component of your overall brand. Right now, I know we've done podcasts on branding before, but just a quick little recap on brand. A brand is the way that someone experiences your business. So the logo is just sort of a visual trigger, or maybe an ambassador, if you will, for your brand. When people see your logo, they instantly think about, if they know your company, what was the last experience they had with your company?
Sure,
Right.
sure.
Was
Yeah.
it good? Was it bad? So that all becomes part of your brand. So it's not just your logo. It's not your color. It's everything. Logo, colors, the imagery that you use on your website and in your social media. It's the voice that comes through your written content. It's how people experience you. That's your brand. And the logo is just one component of that. So I think when you're thinking long term, when you're thinking strategically about your business, you need to be thinking about developing a brand and not just creating a logo. Now, there are instances where, hey, look, all I need is a logo. I need something to put on a business card that I can hand out. That's fine. I've done projects like that for people where they just wanted something that they could kind of stamp on a business card or stamp on a website. And that's okay. And those are usually fairly inexpensive. But if you're developing and want to grow your business, you really need to be thinking more long term, and you need to be thinking about developing your brand.
Yeah. I'm thinking you don't make logos in MS Paint.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. As a matter of fact, I think the worst scenario I ever encountered was I'd asked a client for their logo because I was developing some material for them, and they provided it to me in Microsoft PowerPoint.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I don't mean to laugh.
Exactly. It's like, okay.
So, yeah, we won't call people out by name on this show, but we will share some stories.
This is true.
The
And
down and dirty.
as they say, everyone's life has a purpose, even if it's only to serve as a warning to others. So,
Yeah, that's about it.
So, as I was saying, that you can think short term. You can think, hey, I just need something to make me look legit, make my business look legit,
Okay.
and I just need something to put on a business card. Okay, that's fine, as long as you know that that's your strategy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Setting those expectations up
Right.
front and realizing it.
And say, hey, this is a short-term solution. I just need something for now, and that's fine. But if you're thinking about a marketing strategy and growing your business, Now you got to think longer term. So as you said before, Bill, the logo is going to be everywhere. It's going to be in a lot of different formats. It'll be in print. It'll be online. I've seen logos that, for larger companies that were carved out of ice for a special event.
Sure.
Right. So, you have to really think about where this is going to show up, and it's got to be versatile enough and flexible enough to accommodate all those different scenarios and circumstances.
Right.
And as I said before, it's the logo is just the visual touch point for the business's brand. So it does have to be effective, but it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
Now, in regards to price points, since we're talking about how much should I spend for a logo, if you just need something quick and temporary, you just need a logo for a single piece for a specific purpose or something that's for a limited time.
So give me an example of what that would be.
Let's say you're putting together a program that's going to run one time,
Okay.
a special event that's going to run one time, and
Okay.
you just need to brand that a little bit. So you just need a logo that you can apply to the Facebook page that you're using to promote it, or the temporary website you're going to use to promote it, or maybe you have some flyers and you want to make sure that logo's on there. And that's just to let people know, hey, when I give you something that has this logo on it, you know that this is associated with this program or this event.
Sure.
I've done things like that, where it's a one-time thing. But that usually doesn't apply to a business.
Right. A big company with a mission statement, a purpose, a greater
Right.
strategy involved. Right?
Yeah, hopefully they're not thinking short-term or they're going to be out of business real soon.
Right, yeah.
So there's that level. And then up from that, and I've done a lot of these as well, is what I would call an identity system. So now this is a logo that is developed in a lot of different versions that can be applied in a lot of different circumstances. And usually it has a color palette that it's associated with it. And sometimes it might even have, fonts and typography that are developed specifically for it. So this is a little bit more of a system, an identity system.
I like that.
Now that is a good thing for, say, a startup, someone who's just opened their business and they need sort of a basic starter kit for their brand. Keeping in mind that it does need to be positioned to scale as the business scales. And I've done a lot of that kind of work. I just finished a project for someone who has a consultancy, a business consultancy, and she needed an identity system developed because she was going to be promoting herself on her business cards, but she was also going to be doing a lot of presentations, so she needed a PowerPoint presentation that was branded for her company. So I gave her an identity system, and it was the logo, but it was in a lot of different versions. You have to think about social media and how it's going to be applied there. You have to think about how it's going to be applied in print. So that was a fine fit for her. Mm-hmm. That worked for her. Now, she may come back at a later point and say, okay, I've developed some of these other services and products, and I need to apply my brand or my identity system to that. Mm-hmm. Can you help me scale this up? And I built it in such a way that, yes, it would be easy to scale. But she just needed a starter package. And then at the sort of the upper tier is the brand, and that's a complete identity system, color palette, typography. It might involve written content, so we bring on a writer to sort of create a voice for the written content. It's imagery, and it's templates for print, templates for online, trade show graphics, vehicle graphics, merchandising. That's if you've ever seen a branding guideline for a large company, it's this big 3-ring binder that's just page after page of this is how you apply our brand.
Right.
Right. So it's all of the different scenarios, and it's a system. It's a complete system, and it tries to encompass as much of the company's mission and its personality as possible. And that would be at the upper level. Now, I've done a few of those as well. Those are much more complicated than just a logo or
How
just.
many logos have you done?
Over the 26 years that I've been doing this, I've 150 maybe.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot a lot of the projects that I've worked on, sometimes the identity will already have been developed. So I just get that as an asset, then I apply to whatever I'm working on. But where I've come in and developed it from scratch, I'd say at least 100, somewhere between 100 and 150.
Okay. So one end of the spectrum, you have someone who's trying to do something on their own, and then the complete opposite, or other end of, I guess not opposite, but the other end of the spectrum, you have these big branding agencies. Where do you kind of do you help local businesses kind of feel out what's right from them, from a starter package and something custom to the whole, I guess, a mini version of what an agency could do? Or how do you kind of put that together for a local business?
Well, it's a good question. And I think you scale it to the size of the company and what their marketing budget is. I mean, obviously if they're a startup, or they've been in business for, say 3 years, they're not going to have necessarily the same marketing budget as a large corporation that's been around for 25 years,
Right.
Or is a Fortune 10,000 company. You scale it to their needs, and I try to work as much as possible within their budget.
Okay.
And sit down with them and have a conversation about what their mission is, what their core values are, how they would like to be perceived. Because a brand is not about how the company perceives themselves, it's how they're perceived by their potential customers and their existing customers.
A lot of businesses forget that, I think, when they're doing any type of marketing, including their logo as part of it. They kind of think, well, this is what I want, and they don't think about the inside or the outside in, how people see them from the outside in. So working with a professional can bring that perspective in.
Right.
Another thing that surprises me about logos is how often people even forget to use them once they do have them.
Right. It should be everywhere.
Yeah.
Literally everywhere you can put that logo.
Especially on social media, I see it a lot where somebody will post a video or a photo from whatever company they are, and I'm waiting to see the logo and nothing.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
you missed an opportunity there. But that's another story, I think.
Yeah, and you've made the investment. You've invested in having this developed, so you should get as much mileage out of it as possible. So yeah, it's a good point to make. Is utilize it to your advantage, because it is that visual touch point for people.
Sure.
And for local businesses, so I mean, I know we think of all the big brands like Dunkin' Donuts and things like that, and when we think of logos, but there's examples, there's times where I've seen something on Facebook, like maybe let's just say a physical therapist or a local business of that type of size, and I've been driving down the street and I see their sign with their logo, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen them, whether it was they were sponsoring an event or they were posting on Facebook. And so that's that kind of like connect the dots moment in your mind where you recognize the company. And then I think, depending on the industry, depending on their strategy and how well their logo has been developed, it kind of gives you an insight as to what type of company they are, what type of brand they're putting out there.
Right,
So,
right. And I, as an example, we're all based here in Rhode Island, so you've probably seen these billboards, but they probably go back several months, maybe 6 months. But the billboard, the name of the company was called High Road, right? And H-I and then R-O-A-D. And I was seeing these billboards for months, and it was just a plain billboard with the High Road logo and maybe one sentence or one word. And you didn't even know what the company was about, but they were laying the groundwork for that recognizability. So that logo was on every single billboard. And then I would also see it in the banner ads, on the side of Facebook or whatever. But they were not revealing a whole lot first. They were just getting you familiar with their logo, getting you familiar with the fact that they existed. And then over the last few weeks, I've seen more of a rollout. Well, they're an insurance company, right? So they're an auto insurance company.
I see.
But now when you're seeing their advertising and you're seeing their marketing, you already have that logo ingrained in your memory. You're like, oh, I remember seeing that billboard 3 months ago.
Right.
I remember seeing that banner ad. So
that's a cool strategy, by the way.
it is, and it's risky because you're putting a lot of money out there without really,
Putting a message, yeah.
putting a message out quite yet. But you're just saturating people with that branding and that logo, so that when you do roll out your marketing message, it's instant recognition, like what you were talking about before.
Sure.
Yeah. That's really
Interesting.
cool. That's great.
That's very interesting.
So, well, I notice these things because that's, I'm a geek in that way.
Well, it's interesting because
Hashtag marketing nerd. Is that a hashtag?
Yeah, absolutely. Or design nerd.
Yeah, design nerd.
Hashtag design nerd. Nice. Just talk for one more minute about the importance of how the logo talks about the personality of the company. The reason I said that, as you were talking a little while ago, I was thinking about, have you ever seen the commercials for the Fagan Door company?
Yeah.
The which one?
Fagan Door?
I can see their logo in my head.
Yeah, but their logo is based around their ancestry also, as well as their company, which is Irish or Scottish, I forget.
Irish.
Irish, thank you.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, what is Fagan Door?
Fagan Door is a garage door company.
Oh.
But their logo is highly recognizable, and you get it right off the bat.
It's a shamrock.
It's a giant shamrock.
That would be Irish.
Yeah, well, I thought it was Irish, but
Not Italian or anything.
Yeah, if it was
definitely not
Scottish, it would be somebody squeezing a penny. And I can say that because I'm Scottish.
I'm part Irish. You think I would have realized Fagan was.
Yeah, but Fagan does that also. McLaughlin
Automotive, yep.
does that too. They have a shamrock in their logo, and that's one way of sort of applying some personality to a logo. With Fagan Door and with McLaughlin, because they're local, it gives you a sense of, like you said, ancestry, right?
Sure.
Big Irish demographic in Rhode Island, but it also can position them as a family business, right?
Because of the Irish ties, and you think of,
right,
that's
and it's the name. They're using their last name for the name of the business. So there's a lot you can pull out of that in the way that they've positioned themselves. But personality definitely has to be part of the logo. I mean, it has to reflect that personality because the brand, the way people are experiencing the company, either their service or their product, it better be reflected in the logo. And this is where brand research is very, very important. You need to know who your audience is. You need to know how they're perceiving you. And you need to reflect that in your visual brand, in your logo. It has to match up. And there have been, lots of instances where it's a mismatch, like they're presenting
I was just going to ask you that. Have you dealt with clients that you looked at the original logo and went, this makes no sense with the...
Yeah. A client that maybe they want to project a sort of very homey and casual kind of personality, but their logo looks like the AT&T logo. It's very corporate and slick. It's like, you've got a mismatch here. Your personality isn't matching what you're presenting in your identity. So that's very important because you're going to be, over time, you're going to be building up equity in this brand, and you want to make sure that you're investing wisely and that you're building up the right kind of equity.
Right. Do you mind? I'll just share. So I don't like, from my personal company right now, I don't like my logo. And I didn't realize it at the time because, starting out as a company, we needed a logo, like you said, slap it on the business card, get the website up. But I didn't really think about all that goes into it. And, we're a marketing company. We're a social media marketing company. And basically, I won't name the company that I worked with, but I just feel like it was a very cookie cutter experience. There were no questions about who my customers were going to be, the mission we had. All I basically said was, we like purple.
Okay.
And I'm not happy with it now. At the time I was like, okay, let's go with this because we needed to get things going. But looking back, I wish I had that whole experience. And I do plan to redo my logo with this guy named Justin Kerr Design.
Oh, thank you.
Well, now see, I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum because I've known Justin for so long. When I was in the process of going full-time with my business, Justin and I sat down and he actually went through the process, which was very comprehensive.
Yeah.
And I get to see my logo on the side of a Sprinter van and on a mug and on T-shirts.
That's
and
awesome.
It was really cool. A little disheartening at first when you see your own face on things, but hey,
That's true. We should feature all our logos and they can pick out which one was not done
by
professionally, which would be... But, it just says that a lot goes into the experience. And so, going back to how much should I spend, think about, should probably stick with that logo. Not many people want to do a rebrand. It's a lot of work and a lot of time.
It is.
But it's worth
is.
it. I think it's worth it.
Honestly,
We'll do it right the first time is what I mean.
Well, yeah.
If it's wrong
yeah.
like mine, then you have to go back and do it. And now I've been putting it off because I don't have the time.
In my case, we were starting from square one, so it wasn't as big a
Right.
deal. But I can understand, you, as much as you may not like your logo, it's been out there for a while, and people
Right.
there's still some recognition to that, regardless of whether you like it or not, because you've been at it for a while. So
And
that's
that-
tough.
Get it right the first time. Yeah.
And your scenario is not uncommon. You needed something right away, so you put something together. But now that you've been around for a while, you realize this really doesn't reflect me very well.
Right.
And I get a lot of clients like that who come to me and say, I've had this for a while, but it doesn't really represent who I am or what I'm about.
Right.
But I've got so much equity in this. People recognize me by the color or, the fact that there's a chicken in it or whatever. And so oftentimes, we'll have to kind of work with what's there and try to bring it around to where it is more reflective of who they are. But it still has some of the elements from before, so there's some carryover.
Yeah.
And it's not a complete jump away. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't.
But those are the things you'll take the time to figure out with them, which
Yes.
if you've used other companies, it is that very cookie cutter experience.
Right.
Okay, so we're down to a few minutes left. Why
Yeah.
don't we do a quick summary? So,
Okay.
in summary,
Yep.
if somebody said to you, "Why does it cost so much to make a logo?" Give me the elevator pitch as to what you would tell somebody.
Okay.
I'm sorry, not to throw you on the bus.
No, that's fine. Well, I think, it's a matter of perception. So if you're saying to me, why does it cost so much to make a logo? We may not be a good fit right off the bat.
Sure, understandable.
Because you're leading with, trying to get away as cheaply as possible. So if you think of it as an investment in your company, and you think of it as a long-term investment in your company, now I think you're on the right track, right? So, a lot of people consider large ticket items all the time. A small business may be considering buying a second truck or opening a second location or hiring 3 new people for staff. Well, your branding is no different. It's a big ticket item, and
Sure,
it should be
yeah.
a considered purchase. It's an investment in your company. So that answers, I think, a little bit about why it costs what it costs. But I think you need to start with a strategy. You need to understand what you're about, your mission statement, your core values. And I think once you've done that, then you're ready to develop, a successful and effective logo. And hopefully you're thinking beyond just the logo and you're thinking about your brand, because your brand is really what's going to scale and grow with your business.
Right. And if you're not thinking about that, then the right professional will help you.
Absolutely. That's why we exist, is to kind of walk people through the process. And we don't expect them to know everything, because that's why we're here. We're here to ask good questions and to walk them through the process and discover the things that either were in their subconscious but they weren't really aware of, or things that they've never thought about before.
That's so cool. Yeah, I think that's amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, to pull it out of somebody, it takes a real talent to do that.
Yeah, and it's a process, and it takes time. This is not a quick. This is not a fast food process where you go up and you place your order and you get your thing. This is a process and it takes time, but it's well worth it. And again, it's an investment in your business. So I think we've covered how much people should spend for a logo.
I think you did. I think you did a good job. Thank you, Justin, for sharing that with us today.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we've come to that time in all of our podcasts where we do a shameless plug.
Oh, yes. And I'll start by
Go for it.
saying thank you so much to Rooms and Works for hosting us today. They've provided our venue for this recording. You can find them online at roomsandworks.com, and they're a co-working and living space in Providence, Rhode Island.
And I'm also going to throw a shout out to Justin's wife, who was nice enough to bring us lunch
today, yes.
Speaking of fast food, it was good fast food.
It was, yes. And Alicia, want to share our Facebook stuff?
Yeah, so guys, you can check us out at marketingessentialsteam.com for our full list of podcasts and more information. And there's a Facebook link on there. Check us out on Facebook. And there is also our Little Roadie marketing group. So that is a support group for lack of a better explanation, where you
For
can
recovering
go.
marketers?
Yeah, no, for local businesses where they can go and vent all their frustrations, challenges, questions, whatever it is that they want to talk about with marketing. We're there to help.
Awesome. So I think that's about it for today. And we'll see you next time.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.